YouTube. It is like 6:10 a.m. I just woke up. Okay, so normally, well, first of all, okay, there's a disclaimer in the description. Please make sure that you go and give it a quick read. I'll give you kind of a general idea of what it says. It says that I am not a medical professional of any kind. I'm not an expert necessarily of any kind. I'm just someone who has experienced pretty much an entire life of trauma, to the point where it became PTSD, and now I believe it to be CPTSD, which is complex PTSD. And I'm talking softly because everyone's asleep, but I haven't done a video in a while, so I'm like, I need to do a video. So yeah, anything that I say in these videos, I'm not giving anyone medical advice. I'm not, it's important that everyone learns how to show up in their own way, in my opinion. What I'm here to discuss is kind of a heavy subject, so if you find yourself struggling by watching my videos or, something like that, feel free to take a step back whenever you need to, reach out to people that care about you, and just take care of yourself, make yourself the priority. But there will be a better disclaimer in the description, so please make sure that you read through it, just so you understand this is for entertainment and informational purposes only. I don't want nobody to come after me about nothing, all right? I'm just a person who used to be broken, who's learning how to thrive, who wants to share their story. That's it. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm not here to any of that. If it resonates, awesome. If it doesn't, ignore it. Like, that's kind of where we're at. So, and I've tried to make this video several times, actually, twice, back to back. A few weeks ago, I was outside, I was grilling, but the dogs kept getting noisy, so I had to keep stopping. So now everyone's asleep, so hopefully I can get this done. Normally I would be doing yoga right now, but like I said, it's been a while since I've done videos, and I feel like this is very important. I feel like this is something that's always nagging at me to do these videos, and share my story. And I think that's mostly because, when I was going through it, I felt like no one understood. I felt like there were so many things that people were telling me, but they weren't really teaching me. Like in therapy, they'd be like, oh, you have to, take care of yourself and self-care. And it's like, what is that even? You know what I mean? Like, because when you're depressed and you're anxious and basically you hate life, you hate yourself, you don't make an effort to do anything, to take care of yourself, to take care of your your dwelling, to take care of any of your relationships. And it's not like a choice that you make necessarily. I mean, I guess in the end it is, but in the moment when you don't know better, it doesn't seem like a choice. So don't go around telling people it's a choice. Sometimes it's not the way that it works. Sometimes you have to let people come to those realizations on their own, and all you can try to do is offer like guidance and support, right? So morning yoga has become part of my self-care. I don't do it every day. I try to do it every day, but this video mostly I want to talk about like self-care, and there's something else I want to talk about even further than that, which is I think the step that comes before the actual doing. And this is something I struggle with a lot with at least one of my abusers, who wants to be part of my life but cannot be part of my life because, in my opinion, they are too toxic. There's a whole thing there that I could talk about, but I'll probably talk about that some other time. Well, I guess I'll just say it. So I'll just say it so that people can understand. And this is part of the empath part, is so I would dare say that my parents are my abusers. I would say that my father is my primary, and then his brother sexually abused me when I was little, when he was staying with us. And so my mom wants to be part of my life, but she this is where I'm getting to the point about the empath. She's married now. I think it's like her third marriage, and I'm not hating. Like, I've forgiven her for all the shit. I just can't have her in my life. I can't have her. I can't have my dad. I can't have these people in my life right now. Even though I may sound like I know a lot about this subject, I'm still very much deep in the trenches of my own healing process. But yeah, like, she wants me to be part of her life, but like, this guy, I immediately got like real bad vibes the first time I met him. I was like, I don't want, like, he put his hand on my shoulder, and everything in my body was like, don't touch me. And I didn't understand why, because at this time I didn't even know what an empath was. But I always kind of was that way. I could always kind of read people. I knew a liar a mile away. Like, if you were telling me a lie, even if you were a good liar, I could almost always tell if you're lying. It's just the way that it is. It's very helpful for what I do for work. So to be able to detect the liars, or not the truth. It's not so much that I can detect liars as I know when something's true and not true. I just feel it. I don't know how to explain it. It's part of the empath thing. That's also stuff that I'm still learning about that I don't fully understand. One sec. I say one sec like someone's live. I do a lot of lives on Facebook, but in private groups mostly. So, sorry, my mouth's kind of, I just woke up. I have my water. I have my water. So, but yeah, I got bad vibes from him from the start, and then she decided to marry him, and I did not condone that, so I didn't go. Plus, I was doing something. It was like a last minute pop up where she was like, I'm getting married, I was in the middle of moving. I'm like, I can't come to your last minute wedding with this guy that I got bad vibes about. Come to find out, the guy's on the sex offender registry, and it just blew me away. And this has nothing to do with what I was going to talk about, but this is what's coming up. So sometimes it bees like that. So, shh, kitty. Look, the dogs have already interrupted my other two videos. Can you please chill with the meows? Okay, so then, yeah, I found out on accident. This was only because the person who I did consider my mom was like, oh, you should, I was checking out those background check apps. And she was like, oh, you should put in your mom's husband. And I was just shocked. I was floored. I was stunned. I was like, does she know? Because remember, I was sexually abused. And so for her to get into a relationship with someone who's on the sex offender registry, and like, I know there are some people, I know, like out of 10, there's like 1 or 2 maybe where somebody was just stupid and they were drunk and they accidentally exposed themselves and they get up on them lists, right? But this one was like, basically, like, he raped a 16-year-old girl, and like, I feel weird putting this stuff out here to the universe like this, like to the world, because not everybody is of the mind to look beyond the offensive part of everything that I'm saying. Wow, man, there's just so much. There's so much I want to say, and sometimes I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to get it out. I don't know what order to put it in, which is part of why I've been so absent. But I didn't want to keep being absent. Like, I feel very called to make this channel. I feel very called to share my story. But like, I have a full-time job, and I have a family, I have a life, and sometimes it doesn't become the priority. But I would like for it to be the priority, so I have to start making it somewhat of a priority. But yeah, so sometimes, you just can't have people in your life that, I don't remember how I got on this topic. What I wanted to talk about was self-care, and how people don't really, you go to counseling, and I felt like, maybe it's just me, maybe there are people that go to counseling and they have great success, but I'm not one of those people. I felt like I wasn't understood. I felt nervous, like I was going to end up locked up if I was too honest, There was, I think, some issues with even like processing my emotion because of how I grew up. I grew up where you weren't allowed to cry. You weren't allowed to express how you were feeling in any capacity. You were expected to stay small, quiet, and out of the way. And that's pretty much how I live my life. I was very isolated, so I crave a lot of alone time. I don't know if that's an empath thing or if that's an abuse thing. Probably a little bit of both, to be honest. It's something I'm already used to, and it's something that I also need. So I don't know, guys. But so this is what I was talking about. This is how my mom came into the situation, because the reason, I talk to her openly sometimes about trying to help her, and she's just kind of resigned her mind to the fact that she's an older woman now, and it doesn't matter. Like, basically acting like life is already over. And I'm just, it hurts me that people won't even try. And so before we get to self-care and all that stuff, now that I've had this long-winded rant, basically, we're going to get to just getting around to saying that you'll try, right? Because my mom just won't try. My mom won't try to do something with her life differently so that we can have a relationship. Because I'm not going to subject myself to that. I'm not going to subject myself to abusive people. I'm not going to subject myself to negative people. I'm not going to backslide just because somebody thinks that they're entitled to be part of my life. Because I feel like that would be damaging to me to put myself in those situations and around those types of people. I don't think they're bad people. I think life is hard for everybody. I think that it's easy to pass judgment when you don't know what it's like to be someone, to be in their shoes. And even if you are both presented with the same situation, there's no guarantee that any two people are going to handle it the same way. And it affects everyone differently. And you can't say just because your experience was different that their experience is wrong. This is stuff that I've learned through my healing. This is stuff that I've learned through forgiving. This is stuff that I've learned. It started with me wanting to forgive myself, And then I was like, how can I forgive me if I can't forgive the people that hurt me? And so then I had to look at that, and that was a whole, we gonna get there, y'all. We're gonna get there. So, and this was something that I told my mom. I'm like, you won't even try. Like, you won't even try. You won't even say that you'll try. You won't even think I'll try, And I think really that's how all this change started for me, was being miserable, and creating my miserable existence through my miserable thoughts. Because I do believe that our thoughts become our reality. What you focus on is what you will manifest. And as a person who's an ex-atheist, like, sometimes I catch what I'm saying and I'm like, whoa, like, I can't believe I'm saying this shit, but this is my experience. This is what I have learned on my journey of healing. And it's important because I think there's a lot of wounded empaths in the world. All the groups I'm in, I don't think I've really met that many that don't have trauma. And I think that's kind of a hallmark. And I think it's because we're sensitive, that we experience trauma the way that we do, I guess. And that's not to say that everybody that has trauma is an empath. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that most empaths seem to have trauma. And a lot of the world has trauma. I mean, everything that happens around us affects us. You know what I mean? So you have to be really cautious and choosy about what you choose to surround yourself with. Which is why I distance myself from certain people, and so, I was miserable, like, oh, my life sucks, and I hate this, and I hate that, and I hated myself. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror without feeling this just intense feeling of, like, disdain in my chest, like, just could I be further removed from myself, is kind of how it felt. And so, after I had my sort of, awakening, my brain's trying to go different directions. I'm trying to figure out which way is the best way to go right now. So, I grew up, and then I left when I was 17. I ran away from my dad, and then I moved in with my aunt, who I view as my mom, who passed away in 2017, which was really, really hard for me. Sometimes it's still hard, but as you can see from my fucking fudge video, where I'm having, like, a full-on meltdown because I just want to make some fudge that's not gritty, so I could have, like, this closeness with my aunt, even though she's not physically here. Lord. I haven't watched that video because I think if I watch it, I'll take it down. But sometimes it bees like that. That's just the way it is. Sometimes it bees like that, like, it is what it is, and you can demonize it, and you can run from it, and you can do all these things, or you can say, I'm going to try to do something different. I'm going to try to, give myself room to feel what I need to feel, because it's not something that I'm used to. I'm going to try to um, be thoughtful and kind to myself, right? Be understanding about what I'm going through, about how I'm feeling, and these are things that I wasn't really ever taught. These are not things that were ever demonstrated for me. So you go to therapy and they're like, oh, well, you gotta do self-care and you gotta be kind to yourself. And I grew up in a house that was not kind. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. You're not really helping me. You're telling me to do things I don't understand, and then you're giving me medication. Awesome. This does not feel like a solution. Not a real solution, not a lasting solution. But yeah, once I got into the mindset of being like, okay, but what if you say that you're gonna try, and then when you fail, what if you're just nice to yourself about it? Like, what if you don't let your dad's old programming kick in and start telling you that you're worthless and that you're nothing and that you'll never have nothing, and you won't have you'll be like your mom and you won't even have a pot to piss in. Those are the messages I grew up with that were deeply ingrained in my so-called identity, which that's a whole other topic on its own as well, is identity. I think that was my greatest source of sadness, was not knowing who the fuck I was. Because I felt like I wasn't ever allowed to just be me, because you always have these people who I'm not going to say they don't care, but this is my idea. My idea is if somebody really, really cares about you, and I know this sounds like it goes completely against everything that we've ever been taught, but I feel like if somebody really, really cares about you, they're going to let you be you. No matter what that looks like, no matter what that means, they're going to let you be you, right? They're not going to tell you, oh, you need to go to college, and oh, you need a 401k, and oh, you need benefits, and do you know what I mean? Like, that's their old programming trying to present itself as love. And it's not love. Love is accepting people for who they are and letting them live in their existence as they see fit, because it's their body, it's their right, and it's none of your fucking business, right? So that's how I view that. So yeah, I just had to do a lot of trying, and once you catch the negative messages that keep repeating that are sort of holding you back, it's easier to insert I'm gonna try. So I would catch that and I'd be like, well, that's not true. And when I would catch it and say that it's not true, I would then have to go into my memory bank and look for examples in my life and experiences where I knew that experience directly contradicted those messages. And every time those messages would play, I would go looking for those instances and like, look at this and look at this, Like, he would always tell me that I was wasting my time writing, And so sometimes y'all can hear me getting a little, because visiting these places is hard. Like, I'm not saying just because I'm healing, it doesn't still hurt. I'm not saying because I forgive them, it doesn't still hurt, It still fucking hurts. But every day it gets better. Every day I get further away from being controlled by it and taking control of my own life. But yeah, in those moments, so like, he would tell me that writing was a waste of time, and I love writing. Like, it's probably what saved my life. And so, even now I'm like, oh, that message sometimes that message sometimes still sticks with me. Yo, cat. Don't look at me like that. See what I mean? This is why I don't make videos, because I'm constantly interrupted. Sorry. Anyway, so I had to hi cat. So I had to really just start catching those things, and like with the writing, I remember like in 4th grade, like, dude, psst, psst, psst. Hey, knock that off. It's very distracting. All right, so I don't know how long. Oh dang, we're on up to 20 minutes almost. We gotta wrap this up. All right, so yeah, like with the writing, I would be like, okay, well, what about this? Where, dude, why do you wait for me to get back into it? Why? I'm about to throw something at you. So anyway, with the writing, so what I would do to counteract that, because like I was saying, like even as an adult, when I'm trying to write, sometimes I still feel like that little girl who's hiding in her room, and ooh, sometimes it's gonna be like this. Sometimes it bees like that. hiding in her room, you know, trying to write her feelings, hiding everything that she writes and all that shit, you know, like I still have that girl try to come back, and I have to be like, okay, well, you remember this time in 4th grade where you entered this writing contest and like you got pretty far. Like you didn't win, but you got pretty far. Like it started out in the class, and then they selected a few people, and then you went to like the cafeteria, and then you wrote something, and then that was where it ended for me. But still, to go from there to there, that tells me something. That tells me there's something there, right? Sorry, between my almost emotional and then my sleepy eyes, it doesn't feel very good right now. All right, so. And not just that, you know, eventually I did go to college. I didn't graduate because, you know, I've never liked institutionalized anything. Okay. I think that's part of my empath side. I'm intuitive. Don't try to institutionalize me because I'm intuitive. So like, you know, and in college, you know, I did, English 1301, and I got 100 on like every essay that I ever wrote. And many of them I wrote the day that they were due, like the morning they were due. I'm in there like on my computer and shit, you know, 100 every single time. To the point where I had written one that, and I kept it because it was important to me to have that memory, to have that, you know, when I'm feeling down, something to look back on, you know, like when I'm feeling like I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I'm not, you know, when those old messages still try to mouth work with me, they still try to creep in, but I have to go, okay, wait, because see, in the past I couldn't just be like, hold on, let's stop for a second. There was none of that in the past. It was like trigger, fall apart, you know. So but yeah, you just have to keep trying. You just have to keep trying to be nice to yourself. I know that's hard for some people. So like, if you fail at being nice to yourself, be nice to yourself about failing. Be forgiving of yourself. Look at what's going on in your life, what's going on in your world, and just be like, these are some of the things that are going on, and I need to take those into account when I'm addressing myself. You know, I need to be honest about what I'm really going through, because so often also I think that society sort of teaches us to just pile on things, you know, like, oh, I have so much going on, but I have to do these things and I have to do those things. No, you don't. You do what you feel you need to do and see if you don't find some happiness. You don't got to live life according to nobody else. You don't. You don't. And I think that's really the message that I want to bring, is that life is not one size fits all. Stop trying to tell people how to live their lives. Stop judging people for the choices they're making, because you don't know them. You don't know their experiences. You don't know why they're doing what they're doing. You don't know what their body is telling them. All you know is you know, and that's something that was a big part of my awakening too, was realizing, you know, this is all I have control over. Like, yeah, I want to show up meaningfully in the world and I want to help make a difference, but this is all I can control, you know. So hi kitty. This is a different kitty. This is not the noisy kitty. Well, she's noisy in a different way. But, you know, and it really just all started with trying, and then giving myself room for error, you know, because so often, like, you have a job and, like, you make a mistake and then you got to hear it from, like, 5 different bosses or whatever the fuck the case may be. You know what I mean? So it's just, society is wrong. And I think society is sick, in my opinion, and I'm going to try to heal me so that I can make a difference. And if this video helps any one person, then I will consider it a success. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. The main message for this video is just becoming comfortable with the idea of trying. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to try to be nicer to myself, and like find out, what does that really mean within you? What does that mean within you to be nice to yourself? What do you need that no one else is giving you? What do you need that no one else is giving you? Because those are the things that you need to focus on, in my opinion. Those are the things I began to focus on, I should say. Again, I'm not here trying to tell anybody what to do. I'm just saying, if you're feeling lost, if you're struggling with PTSD, stick around and maybe I can help you. And if not, cool. You know, maybe you can help me. I'm just saying, like, we have to start having these conversations and figuring this stuff out and being honest about our experiences so that we can grow as a society. We can try to heal as a society. So I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's outside the realm of reason. I don't think anything is impossible. I think that we're limitless beings who have been taught that we are small and weak and nothing. That's what I think. So please, please, please do your best and be nice to yourself when you feel like you're not doing your best. And just let that shit go. Oh, don't beat yourself up. I didn't go to the gym today. Oh man, I'm such a fat ass, and like blah blah blah, whatever the fuck. And this is even skinny people have these thoughts. Don't think that it's just us chubby girls. All right, like skinny people have these issues too. All right, it doesn't matter how you look. Like that's the thing. Like you could see somebody on the outside and think they have this perfect life, and you don't even know the turmoil that's inside. I feel like most people don't know the shit that I've been through. Like, I went to school with people, and I don't think anybody ever knew or picked up on it. Which, why would they? Because they're all children, but still. You know what I mean? So just be open to trying, and is what I would recommend to anybody who is struggling with their PTSD, especially anxiety and depression. And I will put it like this. In my opinion, from my own healing experience, I will try became the best 3 words that I ever said until I learned about the best 2 words, which are I am, which we'll get into that later. But, I mean, once you understand that your life is yours to live for yourself, and that you can do anything that you want to do, that you can try anything you want to try, that you can have any experience you want to experience, and you stop giving yourself reasons why you can't do it, and you start looking at it like smaller chunks and smaller chunks until it's something you can actually do something about it. You're not going to climb a mountain in one bound. It's going to take a while to climb a mountain, all right? You can't keep looking at the peak from the base and being like, I'm never going to make it, because you're never going to make it. You're already telling yourself the answer, you know what I mean? So if you say, this is going to be easy, I can do this, or it might be tough, but I think I can do it, and I think it'll be worth the reward. That's all I'll try is looking at it and saying, how do I chunk this down so I can tackle it? That's all I'll try is. It's simple. It's really simple. And I know when you're in the deepest, darkest bits of like depression and PTSD and all that stuff, it's hard. It's hard to do those things and say those things. It's hard to feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel, that there's hope at all. Like, I know it's hard, but you're still here. And if you're watching this, that's saying something. That means you're looking for something to hold on to, something to help you. And I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to try to be of service to anybody that this resonates with. And that's why I decided to do this instead of yoga. And we'll talk more about self-care. I had an experience, because this video is getting long and I don't want them to be super long. But I had an experience when I was, in the beginning of my healing process. I say beginning, but I think the healing process for me has been ongoing since I was in the abuse, if I'm truthful. I think I've always been trying to heal. I just wasn't in the environment to do so. Which is also another thing. But, I'll try as the first thing, because even if you're in like an environment that's not conducive for healing, if you say, I'll try to find a way to get out of this, you'll start figuring it out. It's like the universe will just start giving you answers in places that you didn't think. Like you'll be doing something, and then someone will say something, and you'll be like, holy shit, I was just talking about that. And it's like you'll get information to take you to the next step. So don't worry about the things that you don't know, because what you do know will lead you to anything that you wish to learn, that you wish to know. So yeah, everyone be safe. Do what feels right to you, regardless of what anybody else fucking says. All right. Know that there's probably somebody that cares about you, even if you don't think there is, because I know I felt like nobody gave a shit about me back in the day. But now as I'm healing, I'm seeing where people try to step in. I'm seeing where people try to intervene. I see where people try to do their best to be there and help me out. You know what I mean? But I was too damaged at the time to see that there was a hand being reached out to me. So you're not alone. Obviously, look at my fudge video. You're not alone. If you're feeling sad, if you're having a hard time, if you're missing people, you're not alone. Okay? But just try. Today I'll try XYZ. I'll try to catch my thoughts when they're being too negative. And then I'll try to replace them with something better. And then if I get it wrong, I'm going to be nice to myself. I'm not going to come down on myself and be like, oh, you're such a piece of shit. Of course you're not doing this right. Of course, don't do that. Just be like, look, you've been through a lot. You've been through a lot, all right? You weren't taught the right way. The society is not well. This is shit I do, y'all. You have this work commitment. I don't really have a lot of work commitments because my job is not one of those types of projecty jobs, but, just those types of things. And then just be understanding of what you're going through and what you're experiencing and what you're feeling. And then you can come back and then you can try to look at it. I don't want to say like with eyes of judgment, because you should never be judgmental of yourself or anybody else, really. It happens, but like when it happens to me, I just catch it and I try to correct it. And then even that's like, you were raised wrong. When I catch myself being judgmental, I'm like, you were raised wrong. That's not who you want to be. And so now we can change it. Now we